No problem.
I'm here with She Who Won't Be Named. I recently listened to the Time to Change EP. What was your inspiration behind that body of work?
So that body of work actually was a collection of 6 years worth of work. I was in a okay. We tried. I used to be in a rap group and ended up breaking up. So those were like my 6 years being solos up until now. So I took a song from some time ago. There are like 3 recent songs, but really my inspiration behind it was just taking the 6 years and showing the growth of becoming an independent artist and just finding yourself as an artist, finding yourself as a person, because it wasn't just like a breakup as a band. I also broke up with one of the people. So it was one of those things, and I had to learn and try not to be bitter, try not to get caught up in the competition trap, and just really just wanted to give a first collection of music that described me the best. That's what.
See that theme in like a lot of your songs on the album where you talk about like, gratitude. One of my favorite songs on the album was Flower Child. And you
Okay.
talk about, being from Memphis and the experience of growing up in Memphis and you experiencing reverse colorism. For people who don't know, like in some parts of the US and African communities, other parts of the world, light skin may also lead to a prejudicial treatment. Can you talk a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. It kind of was awkward for me because my mom is dark skinned and my father, he's the pale one. So what made it kind of weird for me was people not seeing my mother beforehand will automatically just either write me off because I was lighter, and or they would it was all prejudging, just prejudice, just how it is when it's colorism in general. Just they felt like I was lesser than, or when I got to certain places, they felt like it was because I was light skinned, which whenever I identified that to be true, because when I was younger, I was stuck in the Southern, the whole thing of light is right or whatever. But my mom, I don't know if she did it on purpose, but she definitely would always put bugs in my hair. She was big on history. So I used to go when I went out of town. We would always have to go to a museum. She was always watching different, making sure that documentaries were on and stuff like that. So I learned early that color really meant nothing, but in society, it has created this kind of like weird dysphoria between light skinned and dark skinned people, which is unnecessary in all honesty. But it's a part of, I feel like, the trap, as some would say, that they want us to kind of lead and follow to, like nothing should matter. But when you go through it as a lighter brand, most times they just think it's stupid. Ma'am, she likes to talk. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Most time I was written off as stupid, which was actually quite the opposite. Now I wasn't the smartest in math, but when it came to like any other subjects, I'm an artist as well. So I was big on art history period. I just like to know. I like to go into the world and discover. So when going through that, I live in Denver now, so
Right.
it's even more interesting because now I never became a minority until I moved out of Memphis. Memphis is predominantly Black.
Right.
So when I was able to move outside of Memphis, and now it's not just light skin, dark skin, I'm Black now. And it was kind of weird because I used to tell people, and white people get confused. I'd be like, yeah, I got a culture shock when I got here. They like, huh? I'm like, yeah, like I'm not used to being around groups of like white people predominantly. Like I really didn't know how to maneuver that. So I have a few songs that talk about that too, just maneuvering in this body as a person. And it is very interesting when you think about reverse colorism, because like I said, with the dark, my father wasn't in my life. So all I knew was my mom. And then my sister, she's light skinned as well. She kind of has finer hair. I have the fro. So it was a little bit harder for me to high key identify on the whiter end of things, because you see the hair and it's like, and it's not just, even when I get it straightened, it's so thick and long and just, yeah, I'm not like that. It just be like, what? And so yeah, the first time I got an afro was weird. My mom was like talking real bad, and I was like, "Dang! Like in your high school picture, you have an afro." Like, so I not only experienced it from life. As she got older, she kind of was doing the same thing, and I don't think that she really kind of realize. I think she still don't realize that she does it to this day. And I'm like, that's interesting, just to see the growth in that. Excuse me.
What's the Denver music scene like? Is it an opportunity for like, up and coming artists, to flourish?
To be honest, yes. If you have the will to do it, yeah. That's a lot of people are starting because there's a lot of transplants in Denver. So a lot of people are taking their audiences from where they're from. And now you get to see the Denver scene, which they have a culture out here, but a lot of stuff happened like societal wise, so they don't, their culture is more so kind of all over the place because you have the white people, you have black people, you have the Latin, you have the Hispanic, you have the Irish, like it's a lot of different people, like it's a melting pot here. So you could go into one genre, like with me as a rapper, a lot of times people think that I would be in more local shows and like more of the rap shows, but I actually do a lot of poetry shows and stuff like that because a lot of the musicians and stuff, they just like the type of music that I make. So most times I try to be in those areas of life that way because I've always wanted to come up in more of a neo soul type of vibe. So they have everything you need. What they are missing out here is just a couple of good conglomerates to actually take Denver to the next level because they have people that are in the industry, but not like like Memphis, not like California. Not they're not repping as hard. You wouldn't know a Denver artist is from Denver or a writer is from Denver because usually they do write and stuff like that too. Something I've noticed, or they're more on the producer end. So it's a real cool place. With every scene, it's a scene. So it's a little bit of a rat race, but at the same time, you're still able to move freely, which is pretty cool. Like,
One of the songs I liked on the EP was on Like That. And you have this line where you talk about toxins in the water. Nearly half of the tap water in the US is contaminated with forever chemicals. Government studies funds. What are your thoughts about that?
I've never, like I said, I've always been a big history buff. So I know how they've used chemical warfare to harm the people, period. Like since I was a youngster. Like I feel like they changed it in the books because they don't talk about it as much. But when I was growing up in school, there were sections that taught us about that. Like about them spraying chemicals in the air to create rain. But they would, try to soften it. Like, but it makes rain for when it's a drought. Like, but that's not good. I actually believe that people should be bigger on more disclosure, like honesty from the government and big pharma and people of that nature, just because we fight about a lot of unnecessary stuff, and that's the stuff that's actually hurting us. Like my daughter's future is really in jeopardy because of things like global warming and stuff like that. And it's okay not to believe it, but with any, like I feel like in 2020, well, just in world period, we always just shut people off automatically without really talking to each other with the thought process or intention of understanding and coming together. Because regardless, it may not be completely right, but something's going on. And maybe if you guys weren't putting, and if it wasn't really a means for it, why are we doing chemicals in the water? Why are
Right.
y'all doing certain stuff? Why are the foods getting worse by the year? Like, and then all of a sudden it's like droughts and stuff. And now we have man-made chemicals and things. You know what I'm saying? Just forever chemicals in orange juice, just simple stuff. You can't really live life. But then also if you grow things, now they want you to, pay. Now you gotta pay us to grow on your land and things of that nature. It's just it's it's always been a shit show, excuse me, to say the least. When it comes to the common man, working class, and the government. I feel like it's a bunch of nonsense, but I feel like people should really fight for more. Baby, she's so stupid. More disclosure for real, just like understanding what's going on. Like really tell us what's going on, because you wouldn't have people calling people conspiracy theorists and people calling people certain things if we really knew what was going on with the stuff that we vote for, with the taxes that we use. You know what I'm saying? Because That's another thing. My husband is the predominant breadwinner. Like I said, I'm a housewife, so um he brings home the bacon, but to see the taxes that come out, and then when we look into where those taxes actually go, you know what I'm saying? Again, these are conversations that could be had, but the working class man is either so busy, so traumatized, so tired. I don't know. It's something. Not to give you an excuse, but at the same time, I would understand why you're not looking into it. But you should probably start looking into where your money goes because it's some stuff we need to be talking about or fighting for type deal.
100%. Like, that's like one of the biggest things I blog about, like, is government malfeasance. I feel like, is disappointing how, like, elected officials can have these careers that span 20 to 30 years, but like they're not really doing anything for the people, and then, like, where's the money being allocated? Like, I wrote a blog like recently on my site about how, like, there's potholes, and like they've paid for like these potholes and stuff to be fixed in the city, like sometimes 3 or 4 times over, but it's still
Mm-hmm.
there. So it's like a lot of
Exactly.
stuff like that goes on neighborhood. One of the songs on the EP, we talk about the hardships of growing up in Memphis. You reference a crush holding a 9mm to your head. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, when I was growing up, I used to like to go outside. I used to play basketball. So I used to play basketball in the neighborhood, and this guy that I had a crush on, he was showing my neighborhood. It was crazy. Memphis is crazy, period. I lived in East Memphis, and this is around the time where they were trying to gentrify, I think, North Memphis.
Okay.
So a lot of folks from North Memphis was coming to East Memphis, and it was getting pretty lit. So one day I used to be outside all the time. There was this guy, I'm not gonna say his name, I have to remember. There was this guy that I had a crush on, and he was terrible, awful, just bad little short gangster dude. I don't even get it. I don't even know why. I'm over that lifestyle now. But one day we were playing ball, and this is all in one day. This girl, pregnant, got out the car, was looking for somebody that shot her man that was playing dice the night before. We don't want to answer her. She pulled out the strap, shot in the air while we was playing ball. And as a kid, I was, because where I'm from, none of this really bothered me until I started thinking about it as I got older. Like that was kind of crazy. But so then we of course left or whatever. And then because of the street, it's like the main street between the neighborhoods, like the cove. And that's kind of how we dictated things out there, or at least where I was. Um that evening, I remember somebody who was in jail for like a long time had got out. So we all was like celebrating and was like, hey, you know what I'm saying? He was just walking the neighborhood, and I happened to see him. I knew he knew my sister. So we was talking and stuff. And then I was coming back down the street, and my crush was outside with the little fast girl because they was obviously doing stuff. And he was talking about one of my homies was having a party. So we went to her party. I'm trying not to say names, it's such a but we went to the party, and then she was super drunk. So she was like, she just kept blabbering about how she needed me to take her to his house. And I was like, no, like you're super drunk, bro. I'm not about to walk you down the street and then anything can happen. Because again, before this, I've seen these folks rob people. I've seen them after certain things, just crazy. I could write a movie for sure. But so apparently he found out the next day. Well, no, that evening when I was walking home finally, he like came and was like, why you didn't bring such and such to the crib? And I was like, well, she was too drunk and I really didn't feel like, just told him my truth. I really didn't feel like carrying her. And then he was just at random, do you want to see my new gun? And then showed it to me, and then like literally put it to my head and was like, next time bring whoever said they need to come to my house in my house. And I was like, no. I don't like, again, I have a lot of stories. I should have probably died, but I was just like, no. And I was like, do you have to put a gun in my head to say all this? Of course, after that, I did not have a crush on him. And I was like, yeah, and ironically, he went to jail 2 days later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Karmic retribution. One of the things I really enjoyed about the album was your vulnerability. You know, on the outro, I get a sense of someone who's grateful but navigating life. You talk about being a mom, you know, how's it raising a daughter, especially in chaotic times where, you know, kids are exposed to all kinds of topics at an early age, you know?
Oh God, it's interesting. I'm thankful because I've always been the type of person that is gonna be myself regardless. I feel like another thing that people kind of have gotten away from is vulnerability and being okay being vulnerable, even with people. Like it's a difference between drunk and just telling your business and actually being vulnerable. So with my daughter, how I try to live, like really nobody tells me nothing. Like to be honest, I'm not against having somebody, you know what I'm saying, giving me advice or telling me people who have been through it, you know, telling me things. But I at 26 was like, I gotta stop taking advice from people whose lives are screwed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's a difference between because really it's not advice. They just projecting only you. I learned that about some of my own family members.
Right.
Because I put my daughter on a sleep schedule. My daughter, first of all, has a feeding issue, so she has a G tube. Thankfully, she barely has to use it now, and we're actually getting into the process of her getting it out. But she went through a lot of stuff her first year, and the only thing I want care about is her mom. She's really pretty. So people always, oh, she's so pretty, she's so pretty. Like I know, but I want people to also recognize that she's intelligent. I want her to grow up to have empathy. I want her to grow up to, because it'd be the same people who say she pretty 25-8, but literally when she go to sleep talking about other females who think they just pretty and they mama raised them like that, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, I've heard that my whole life growing up. So it's like, I don't want to raise her to be one of these too grown too fast. I want her to have a life that I didn't have, and I worked really hard, me and her father, to make sure that she can. Like she watches stuff like Between the Lions. I'm very big on what she watched, so she can't watch everything. When we went back home, they had her on Peppa Pig and stuff like that, and I don't really have a problem with it. But if I haven't like watched it, I watch cartoons. I'm fine. Like when I else the thing, I watch anime now, so it's like I'm big on anime. I'm big on cartoons and certain stuff. If I've already proof watched it, yeah, you know. But there are a lot of adult topics I feel that come up in children's stuff. Period. Like I have no problem with them understanding certain topics, but I do feel like they get exposed to things a little early nowadays. It's more so the exposure process. Well, the exposure that you receive, and it's because people now you go like I kind of remember. I think my favorite is we was talking about Michael from Proud Family. I don't even know if I can say that. Cut it out if I can't. But my homie, I was talking to two guys. Let's just say that. And they was going in like he wasn't that, he wasn't like that, he wasn't that flamboyant, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, YouTube exists. Let's go look. So we looked. Oh, he was. I was like, but I think as kids, we just didn't pay attention to it, and it wasn't like we didn't have the internet like that when we was that young. Type deal. At least me, I was born in '92, so we had the internet after a while. But when I was growing up, you really did like we always knew Will and Jada was weird, but I didn't know until I got older, you know what I'm saying, what stuff was. Certain Disney movies where they use certain characters. Like it was always something different about them. It's just my perception. I wasn't paying attention to it, and I thankfully can remember that. But I do still like when it's blatantly when they're like telling you certain stuff that you don't need to be told. Like my daughter at one doesn't need to know about certain sexual organs and stuff of that nature. Like I she doesn't need to know now because of the world we live in. I do like her to be almost like a defense of the dark arts stuff. Like I want you to understand what's out there
Right.
so you know what I'm saying? So you're prepared and you're not like one of those people that's like, I'm just so confused. No, you if you're gonna have a fear of something, I want you to at least understand why you have a fear of it. You know what I'm saying? Or at least know what's going on. Don't just have a fear because it's new. So I don't feel too bad when certain it's hard to talk because it's like I'm really not a person that gets too upset with the whole drag thing because again Ursula, I remember certain characters from Disney movies you could blatantly see that they were characterized off of that. I'm an illustrator, so I know how that works. But I'm not taking her to like drag shows and stuff where they naked and doing weird stuff. If her school was to do something where people were reading and stuff, I'd probably opt her out. You know what I'm saying? Just because certain things, exposing children to certain things and topics, I do feel is a problem. Because if I'm trying to keep her as innocent as I possibly can while still introducing her to new stuff as it comes and as it goes. But again, at 1 year, at a year, my daughter don't need to know everything that's going on in the world. She ain't paying attention to everything. She don't even know her ABCs yet. So why would I introduce her to sexual orientations? I don't even think she can conceptualize that at this point,
I
to be
think
honest.
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like, there's like, a lot of people who, have these kid-friendly drag shows, and I was like, I just don't feel like that's appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, she who won't be named, like, what's next for you in your career?
So lately I've been working on sorry, my husband's texting me. So I've been working on a few things. I have a project that I'm about to come out with, which will be a second installment. Because I'm gonna start my next one will be the start of like a book almost, and it'll go through chapters as my projects go along. So I'm getting that together. And then I have a cartoon. I don't know if you can see it. It's this thing right here. Oh, hold up. Well, hold up. Let me see. There she is. So I have this cartoon. Her name is Frodo. So I'm
Oh,
about to start see the sun. Yeah, I'm gonna start illustrating and well, I have the comics and stuff already done, so I'm finding artists that can help me. One of my friends, he has a comic book called Micro Wars, black owned comic book. It's really
oh,
dope. It's new. He has I think 4 books right now. I have a character in there. So he will be helping me here soon, just finding people to, actually help me out with illustration and stuff because I can do it. But now that I'm a mom, I have to now start to ask people for help to do certain things. But I also always wanted to create a cartoon. So I'm trying to get to the gorillas. And other than that, I've been hosting an open mic out here in Denver. I'm trying to figure out a way to make that go, take that to different cities. It's called Beat Bodega. This guy called Face to Feet. He gave me the opportunity, and I do the ladies' night, but I kind of mix the ladies and the guys together because how I feel is we need each other. So I like to put both, but it's not just one female. I do shows all the time, and I'd be like one if the only if not one of two women on the lineup, and I know it's a lot of women
right.
that do music. So just actually creating a good mix. And what we do at the Beat Bodegas is it's an open beat cipher. So we have producers and we have artists. So instead of just coming to see artists perform, you see producers that play their beats, and anybody who wants to come up on the mic is allowed to come up and rap. So I love freestyling, so it's always fun for me. But I get tired sometimes. It'd be like 2 hours in, but I still go though. It'd be fun. But
Yeah,
we have more people coming, so that's pretty much what I'm kind of getting into those fields, trying to grow as I grow. You know what I'm saying? Figure out where my growth will come from, and ultimately, I am trying to create a label, but I want to make sure that I'm getting the experiences I need. That's what I feel like I'm doing right now, gaining all the experiences I need, meeting particular people and things like that, just to bring my ultimate vision all together.
man. She who won't be named. I really enjoyed listening to your EP, Time to Change. I wrote the blog about it on my blog site, Ryan Glover Media, and like I said, like, it gave me like, Kanye West vibes. It really reminds me of, early like college dropout. I was surprised that you had like, so much profanity though. Like,
Yeah, I'm trying to work on it. Like I do have songs where I don't have as much, but those didn't make that album. I'm not gonna lie. I have more singing songs where I don't cuss as much. But again, it's an introduction to me, so it's like my mom is the same way. But I'm like, look, that's me. I don't really know how to say it. Like I do have clean versions that I'm working on now too for that one because I have certain. I do a lot of community service.
Okay.
too. So a lot of my performances are community service based. So I'm good at editing on the spot, but I have clean versions coming out, and I ain't really trying to drop on Spotify and all that because you don't get paid for that. But yeah, I'll drop a clean album here soon. Do you want?
Definitely. I look forward to hearing it. And She Who Won't Be Named. Definitely. Bye bye.
Bye bye. No, you ain't got no interview. Goodbye.
Definitely. Thank you so much. She Who Won't Be Named. Time for Change EP on Bandcamp. Where else can people follow you on social media, check out your
So on all social media platforms, I am Powerpuff Mani. That's Mani. So Powerpuff, like Powerpuff Girls, and then Mani all together. On all social platforms. If you're looking for me on streaming platforms, I do have music on Spotify, SoundCloud, all of them. That would just be my name, She Who Won't Be Named. I don't know if Google's still being oddly specific. The apostrophe is not an apostrophe in the won't, it's just WONT. But now I think if you look up my name now, Google has it to where it tells you where my music is and stuff like that. If you follow my socials, then you'll be able to see where my shows are. Because I don't just do shows in Denver. I do shows in Memphis too, here and there. I've done a show out in California. So I'm branching out as well. So soon I'll be having more. And I'll be dropping merch soon with my cartoon. So that way you can just keep up with what's going on. And you'll see my daughter's face.
definitely. She Who Won't Be Named. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for listening to the EP.
You're welcome.